Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into a fascinating article, The Hardest Working Font in Manhattan, a truly epic exploration of the surprisingly ubiquitous font, Gorton.
Gorton? Never heard of it. Sounds intriguing. What makes this font so special?
That's the beauty of it. It's not a glamorous, widely known font like Helvetica or Arial. It's a humble, almost anonymous font with a ridiculously long and unexpected history. The author, Marcin Witchery, spent years tracking it down, and it's a wild ride.
Years? Wow. So how did he even find it? Did he just stumble upon it?
No, it was a much more methodical process. It started with noticing it on old keyboards, those with the letters molded into the keycaps, not printed on top. He noticed the unique, almost quirky characteristics of the letters, especially the G, Q, and 3. It was a distinctive, almost childish style, yet strangely appealing.
So a sort of accidental discovery that turned into an obsession?
Exactly. He initially thought it was some obscure, poorly designed font. But then he started seeing it everywhere. On ferry signs, in national parks, even on elevator buttons. It was everywhere, but he couldn't identify it.
That's incredible. So how did he finally figure out what it was?
Through painstaking research, he eventually linked it to George Gorton Machine Company, a Wisconsin-based company that made engraving machines. The font, it turned out, was originally designed for these machines, a routing font meant to be carved, not printed. And it wasn't just any font, it was the default font that came with the machines.
So the font's history is tied directly to the machines themselves? That's a really cool connection.
It gets even better. He discovered that the font was much older than he initially thought, dating back to at least 1902, and possibly even earlier, to a UK company, Taylor and Hobson. It predates many famous fonts we know today.
That's mind-blowing. So it's a font with a history spanning over a century. But why is it so ubiquitous, especially in Manhattan?
That's the central question of the article, and the author doesn't have a definitive answer. Part of it is the power of the default. It came with the machines, so it was widely used. Another factor is its durability. Engraving it into metal or plastic made it incredibly long-lasting. And finally, the simplicity of the font made it practical for various applications.
I see. So it's a combination of factors, its default status, durability, and practicality. But it's also an ugly font, right?
That's where it gets interesting. The author admits it's not aesthetically pleasing by modern standards. It's a monoline font, meaning all strokes are the same thickness, which is generally considered less sophisticated. But its imperfections, its quirks, its history, those are what make it so captivating. It's a font that's been adapted and modified countless times, leading to variations and inconsistencies. And that's part of its charm.
So the imperfections are part of its appeal? That's a unique perspective.
Absolutely. The author argues that the mistakes, the inconsistent kerning, the variations in letter forms, are not flaws, but rather a testament to its long and varied history. They're a reflection of human hands and machines working together over decades, even centuries. It's a font with a story etched into its very being.
That's a really poetic way to put it. So what's the conclusion? Is it truly the hardest working font in Manhattan?
The author makes a strong case for it. He walked over 100 miles in Manhattan, documenting its presence on everything from intercoms to subway signs to ambulances. He argues that its ubiquity and longevity in a city known for its constant change make it a deserving contender for the title. While he acknowledges other fonts with longer histories or wider usage, he concludes that Gorton's sheer persistence in Manhattan makes it the hardest working font there.
That's quite a claim. It's certainly a compelling story, though. Thanks for sharing this fascinating article.
My pleasure. It's a reminder that even the most unassuming things can have rich and surprising histories. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Join us tomorrow for another deep dive into the world of technology. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.